is the 5 habits of highly productive women. If you want to be productive, there's a certain mindset that you have to have. I just kind of mix everything in. You know, if I'm working on my business, I'm also doing something with my family. Why, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, my name is CourtneyLSanders. I'm a full-time online life and business coach as well as wife and mom. I truly wear all the hats and I do all the things. And I say that because that is so relevant to what we were gonna talk about today, which is the 5 habits of highly productive women. So your girl is being a highly productive woman today and this week. And you're not even gonna believe this, but one, I am batch recording videos. So if you've watched some of my previous videos, in fact, I have one that you can check out here that's all about my content creation process. But if you're not new to this channel, if you're familiar with me, then you know that I batch create a lot of my content. So we have a full day here where we are shooting a lot of videos, but you might not believe this, but as I am talking to you right now, I am recording this video on 3 hours of sleep. Crazy. 3 hours of sleep. Why? I don't recommend it, but I just happen to be recording this on 3 hours of sleep today because I'm actually hosting a retreat in South Africa, so I'm so excited about it. It's my first international retreat ever. We're taking clients to South Africa, Cape Town, to see all the amazing sites, Table Mountain, all the different things, and then we're gonna be working on business activities to help them grow their brand, but I needed to have meetings with the team in South Africa just to iron out the accommodations and to finalize everything and to get all the confirmations. And so your girl was up late last night, or should I say super early this morning, at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., because that's 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Time in Cape Town, South Africa, getting all of this stuff done. And so it just had to be done. I had to stay up. We did all that. I went to bed at 3. I got up at 6. I got a workout in. I took my son to school. And then, you know, I rushed here to get all of this content recorded. So if that's not productive, you know, I don't know what is. Now, granted, that's not my life every day. Most days I do prefer to get a full 7 or 8 hours of sleep. But you know, if you want to be productive, there's a certain mindset that you have to have, because for me, I would rather look back on this week or this month or just this time in my life in general and think about all the things that I accomplished rather than thinking about like, oh, did I get enough sleep? So there's plenty of time to get sleep. And for the record, before I get comments, Courtney, sleep is important. Yes, I sleep, guys. Like I sleep a lot. This is an aberration, but I'm just saying there is a mindset that you need to have to be productive. And it's not always this like perfectly balanced, you know, life that people think it is. So with that, I think it's important to get into it and let's talk about what are some of those habits of highly productive women, and then think about, especially if you're a woman watching this channel, if you have these habits as well. So with that, let's get into it. All right, so I kind of touched on this with me having to stay up till 3 a.m. To talk to my colleagues in South Africa, but the first habit of highly productive women is that they don't wait for perfect conditions. They're willing to take action even if conditions are just acceptable. And so this is kind of an extreme example for me because like I said, we're coming up on the retreat and you know, obviously the conditions are not great to stay up at 1 a.m., but I just had to get it done. So I had to do what I had to do. But oftentimes I will do this in my life in the sense of maybe instead of waiting until I get home and I'm in front of my laptop or my desktop and can, you know, work on something or have a lot of free time because I'm, you know, a mom, I'm married, you know, I do dates with my husband, I'm doing stuff with the kids. Sometimes I'm getting work done and I might be in the passenger seat when, you know, my husband is driving somewhere and I'm just getting work done on my phone, right? Is that ideal? Am I, you know, sitting in my office with, you know, my beautiful, huge, you know, Mac desktop and my candle burning and my music playing, you know, that's my ideal situation to get work done, but that's not always the case. If I waited until I had the time to do that in my home office, like half the work would get done, right? So oftentimes I am getting things done on the go. I'm getting things done in less than quote unquote optimal conditions. But again, my desire is to get things done and to be productive and ultimately to look back and see all the things that I've achieved and the things that I completed, not that every situation was completely perfect. So I find that with my friends who are also highly productive women as well, this is a habit that they share. They prefer ideal conditions, but that's not gonna stop them from doing what they need to do. Acceptable conditions are just fine. And along those lines as well, and I mentioned this when I said sometimes I'll do things on my phone, is that highly productive women will often do things in the cracks of time. Now, this is something that I really had to have like a heart-to-heart with myself about, even though I'm in my 30s now, right? And again, married mom of 2 kids, I should have known this by now. I found that for a very long time, I was resistant to do things in the cracks of time because I still wanted everything to be the way it was when, when I was unmarried, in my 20s, didn't have kids, and when I was looking to do work or to get something done, I had all this free time, right? If you're in your 20s watching this and you don't have kids or a spouse or anything yet, like, trust me, if you think you don't have time, lies. You have way more time than you realize that you do. But I was still operating in that mindset that in order for me to actually get things done in a fulfilling way, that I needed the conditions that I had in my 20s. And so I found myself always complaining of like, oh man, I really want to work on this, but I have to wait until, the kids are asleep or my husband's watching them or maybe the grandparents have taken them, and then I have all this free space to get things done. And I found that things were always being delayed and always being rescheduled because that's just not something that is going to be common in your life as a parent. And so when I made that switch of I'm willing to operate in the season that I'm in, not in the season that I used to be, I started to get a lot more done, feeling things out just in the cracks of time. So again, sitting in the passenger seat when my husband is driving somewhere, if I'm at the pediatrician with the kids, getting something done on my phone or even bringing my iPad and firing something up, you would be shocked how much you can get done if you make the most use of a little 5 minutes here, a little 10 minutes there, a little 15 minutes here. Also, if you don't think that everything has to be something that you can complete, right? There are many projects that take me a really long time to complete, but I'm nibbling at it every single day and it ends up getting done faster than if I would have waited until I had all the time in the world in order to knock it out. In fact, I'm actually really proud of myself. Shout out to all the moms who will relate to this. I recently just organized the kids' playroom. It was like a mess. And I knew the grandparents were buying them a gazillion toys for Christmas, even though we asked them not to because we barely have enough space for the toys that they have. So I went through and I organized everything and it looks so much better than it used to look, but I didn't do that in this big stretch, right? I didn't have a full 8-hour day where I could just leisurely go through all the kids' toys and organize them. I literally did it 15 minutes a day after I put the kids down for bed. So I would put the kids down for bed and I have to walk past the playroom anyway. So for 15 minutes after they were, down for the evening, I just would organize like a little corner or a little drawer or a little cubby. And over the course of about 2 weeks, that playroom looks pretty good. So don't sleep on using the cracks of time. It really makes a big difference. The third thing that highly productive women do is that instead of figuring out how they balance it all, they really figure out how they can blend it all in. For me, that means making sure that every action I take has double, sometimes triple, sometimes quadruple duty. So for instance, I have a daily project management meeting with my team. I work with a lot of overseas contractors, people who do work for me everywhere. Again, like I said, I'm running on 3 hours of sleep because I was on the phone with my team in South Africa at 3 a.m. And so because I have this daily meeting, I'm like, well, it's a short, meeting, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. So I often will do this or take this meeting in the car while I'm taking my son to school. And so that feels very fulfilling for me. Again, going back to one of the previous points I made about needing ideal scenario versus acceptable scenario. Ideal would be, oh, okay, I'm gonna take this meeting when I'm at home in front of my desktop. And if there's something that we're discussing in the meeting where I need to share my screen, then I will make arrangements so that I could be on my desktop. But most of the time, we're just checking in with each other and just updating each other on the progress of various projects. I don't need to be on my desktop for that. I could be on Zoom on my phone. And so I'm doing double duty. I'm blended it in where I'm taking my son to school and then, banging out the meeting. And so I'm really collapsing time by doing double duty. Also, I do double duty in terms of fulfillment and spending time with family as well. So for instance, double duty actually on this retreat. So my husband and I's wedding anniversary is actually coming up, and the retreat that I am hosting in South Africa is not too far off from that anniversary. So while I'm hosting this business retreat and a lot of clients are coming in, I made it this theme where I said, hey, you could bring your spouse, or even if you just wanted to bring a best friend or someone or whatever, you can bring a partner with you to this retreat. And so now my clients are like, oh great, we're gonna bring our spouses or whatever. I'm bringing my spouse, and so double duty, I'm doing something for business, but this is also gonna be kind of like a anniversary vacation for us as well, going to this amazing destination. So I've done this in the past where I've taken my kids with me to Cabo, Mexico, or I was a part of a mastermind in Tampa, Florida for an entire year, and I paid to have my parents come out and then watch my kids, and they were on the beach, in Florida while I was doing my sessions. And so I love this double duty, blending it all in versus trying to balance it all, because balancing it all assumes that everything is separate. I just kind of mix everything in. If I'm working on my business, I'm also doing something with my family. I'm also making sure that I'm achieving my goals and getting my house together. Instead of always having separate buckets for everything, it's just one big stew pot. So I find that is a habit that many of my productive female friends also share. Okay, I have a lot more where that came from, but first I want to hear from you. What's your most productive habit? Share it in the comments below. All right, the fourth thing that highly productive women do is that they keep their goals in front of them at all times. So people always ask me, how do I stay motivated? How do you have so much energy, especially on a day like this where I'm running, off 3 hours of sleep? Now I'm also running off 2 shots of espresso. So, I won't lie and say that, this is all natural, but part of my natural motivation is because I know what I'm working towards. I know what my ultimate goals are, right? So I don't mind, I do mind, but I don't mind in the grand scheme of things staying up till 3 a.m. to speak with my team in South Africa, because I know that this retreat is super important. And I know that this retreat is a part of my overall legacy that I'm building. I would love to do business in South Africa long term. I would love it for it to be a second destination for our family, where my kids, when they graduate from school and college, that this is a place that they can touch down and feel familiar with the area. So I know my ultimate goals and how everything that I'm doing, even small tasks like handling hotel reservations in the middle of the night, how it ultimately connects to ultimately what I want. And so I find that highly productive women are really highly visionary women. They know what their vision is for their life. They know what their goals are. And so even if they're doing something seemingly insignificant, they can tell you how it connects ultimately to their goals, because they're keeping their goals in front of them at all times. All right, the fifth habit of highly productive women is that they do not do and decide in the same moment. And this is something that I had trained myself to do, but it's made all the difference. And so here's what I mean by this. When I am planning out my day, my week, my month, etc., I schedule out specific time just to decide what needs to be done. And this is actually connected to the last point that I said about having your goals in front of you. I will look at my goals that I'm going to accomplish. I will look at the projects that help me accomplish those goals. I will look at the tasks that need to make those projects happen. But I do that not in the moment when I'm actually doing the task. I do that separately. It might be on a Sunday evening or a Monday morning where I'm planning out all of these things and I'm making a decision about what needs to be done. Here's the key though. Once I've made a decision that this is the way that I'm gonna attack the week or the day, and this is how I'm gonna go about this, I do not go back on that, right? I do not dig up my decision. I just simply do, right? And so I find that many unproductive women find themselves spinning in circles all the time because they're deciding to do something, but then when it's time to do it, they're undeciding. They are thinking, well, is this really the best way? And maybe I should do something different, or I don't know why I decided that. Maybe they're reconsidering everything that they decided ahead of time, and so they're always stuck and they're never getting anything done. For me, once I make the decision, then I do it. Now, after I've done it, I then reflect and I look back and I see, did that work for me? Was that good for my time? How did I feel about that? Was I as productive as I thought I was gonna be after making that decision? And if there's something that needs to be changed, or there's a way that I would do it differently going forward, then I just make a new decision to do it differently going forward. But I don't decide and do in the same moment. I decide in one moment, I decide ahead of time, and once a decision is made, when it's due time, all I'm doing is doing, right? I just do it, and then after it's done, then I make a new decision. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you have aspirations of being a highly productive woman, specifically because you want to grow a highly successful business, then I invite you to apply to my signature coaching program. It's called the Next Big Name Bootcamp. Tons of highly productive women and some men in that program who are really knocking things out and building not just a lifestyle business, but a legacy business that they can be really proud of. So if that's something of interest to you, go ahead and click the link below in order to apply. And if you are someone that we can help and support, or we will invite you to a call with my enrollment team. We hope to get you all squared away so that you can become the next big name. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you can't wait for my next video, make sure you are subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait for my next podcast or my next video, make sure that you are following me on Instagram. It's CourtneyLSanders on Instagram. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.